Hey, to whoever may need this nugget of encouragement, things will be alright, so quit your worrying. I get it, the odds can stack back against the wall, but even consider it such, know you'll stand tall. Sat and watch from the sidelines, one too many times, wicked games we play, make me wanna lose my mind. Found solitude, knowing it'll be over soon.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Contrary to the Culture. I am your host, Jaysa King. This podcast has been created solely to explore the depths of cultures around the nation. We will have interviews from experts, challenge the mainstream ideas surrounding the cultural identities in our society, as well as make sure we touch on misconceptions we have about. All episodes are brought to you on Tuesdays at 3 p.m. on all major podcast platforms, not to mention my website, audacityofwomen.com. There, under the podcast tab, you can find transcripts from every episode. In order to know how we're doing, I need you to show us some love. Hit that subscribe button, like this video, comment your experiences, but most importantly, turn on your notifications so you don't miss any of the episodes. Now that that's done, let's jump into our episode. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Contrary to the Culture. Today's episode is on the curse of Ebonics. It is just me. We have been doing our episodes with guests for the past, y'all, 2-3 months since we've been able to publish Contrary to the Culture. And this is going to be our episode where I am talking to y'all about some things that have been on my mind. So, with that being said, in our past episode, Broken Windows Effects, we kind of touched on Ebonics in our narrative, right? That is something that has been huge, that has been a talking point when it comes to our culture, y'all. We don't understand the effects of these things that we have taken on as our culture. We love to throw that around. We love to claim different things that make us feel good about the habits we have, right? Our eating, the way we talk, the way we walk, the way we dress, everything about it. We try to find the beauty in all of the darkness, right? That's not talking about our skin complexion, so keep that to yourself. But it is an important idea, right? We already know the main one when we talk about ourselves, right? That descriptive word that I try my best not to use, especially around my child. But we use it because someone else took it and made it an attack. They placed it in our world and made us feel small when we heard it. And instead of allowing that to just be the end of it, to no longer use it, to go ahead and shut that out of our lives, we decided to repurpose it. We made it our thing. Now we try to gatekeep the word. I understand that wording may be a little offensive to some. However, it's important for us to focus on that exact narrative. We have put ourselves in a position to understand that it is okay as long as we say it's okay. So, at what point, y'all, do we step back out and say no more? At what point do we look at the things around us, the narratives that have been kind of trickled into our minds as some fantasy we just solely desire, and make it different? At what point do we walk away from this idea that we have to live with the habits that have been done to us? So that is this episode, the curse of Ebonics. Ebonics is not something that we can necessarily say has always been deemed as bad, right? We already know those Black people. We love to be like, oh, you talk so white, or why do you talk so proper? I was one of those kids that was always picked at for talking with some enunciation, for always being able to articulate themselves in a way that did not need slang or an undertone to my culture. And I found that in those same positions, people were not happy. So, again, where does that narrative stop? Over the years, we have understood where we came from. Can I pinpoint someone in my family right now today? No, I cannot, only because I have not taken on that experience of doing the research. Not because I'm not interested, y'all, but because it is expensive. And my family just does not know enough about their history. But that's my problem. However, things that I can say I've known is that we have come from a wide range of dialects. We have come from a wide range of countries with different accents and languages, right? So when I think about that and I understand the connection to Ebonics, right? We were kind of stripped away. we weren't kind to anything. We were stripped away from our culture, from our true origin. So I understand the aspect of where it came from. But at what point did we transition from an accent to complete incoherent communication style? It has gotten to the point where now we don't even use full sentences to describe or communicate with others. And again, we like to describe it as, oh, this is how I talk. This is where I'm from. This is just what I do. This is my culture. This is who I am. Y'all. It's become lazy. And again, I know I'm going to have some people that don't like it. I have some people that are going to completely disagree and say I am against the culture. Whatever. The point is still there. It is still a fact. It is still something that goes into our roots and our future. There are always going to be moments where we question who we are because we are still figuring it out. And that's not saying that we can't have our own, we can't have our ways of communicating with one another. But my thought, right? When it starts to bleed into our societal presence, our professionalism, and how we just uphold ourselves when we are not with like minded people, it is important for us to understand that it needs to switch. And that brings me to my next thought, code switching, y'all. When did code switching become such a victimized mindset? Now, let's break that down. There have been periods of time where, similar to a habit, right? If 20 people come in and do the same exact thing every single time, at what point do you believe that it's not some oppressive way of doing things, but instead it's just a learned behavior? It is something that is now become the rule. It is no longer the exception. It is something that people are trained to associate with one thing. So when I think about code switching, it's not necessarily for me anymore, right? Because at some point I can admit that I did think this way. However, I can say it's no longer I am whiting myself up to be appealing to my interviewer or to a company I'm interested in working with. I am doing it because I want to make sure that my image matches the job I want, matches the location I am in. Y'all, I've been stuck on these balloon pop videos and I came across one with Boosie. And I guess the girl had pink hair. She was a dental hygienist or a dental assistant, something like that with dentists. And he straight up said he would not want somebody working on his teeth with pink hair. Now, again, this goes into code switching. That's not necessarily just verbal, it also goes into our appearance. When I think about that situation, it made me laugh because, again, we think that because we made the rule that it's acceptable or that everyone around us that's within our culture is going to accept that lifestyle or those choices. And then we come across people who don't, and they're the problem. Let's be real. I'm not going to lie to you. Unless it is a themed event, unless they are working with children, again, for a themed event, I am going to look at you sideways if you are coming into a professional setting with pink hair. That is not saying it's not cute outside of the workplace. I'm not saying it doesn't fit her personality. By all means, do what you got to do outside of the workplace. But when we address these issues, we love to throw around, oh, you're whitewashing yourself to be appealing or to be accepted. That's not what that is in every scenario. Yes, I can admit that as a woman, at some point, I remember taking my hair and putting it in braids or putting a wig on or something like that before I went to an interview just because I thought it would be more accepted. When in reality, I needed to stop doing that. So I did. However, that does not change the fact that there are certain things that I may not do. I may not go in to my job or my workplace with the colorful hair. I may not, because again, it's not saying I can't wear my braids. It's not saying I can't wear my hair, but I'm not going to do my over the top bright red curly hair in my job. It's just unprofessional. So I think we have to stop mixing up professionalism with oppression. And that is, again, goes into my understanding of cursive ebonics, y'all. It does not always have to do with the other person, it does not have to do with another party. It is solely on our presence in society as a whole. Everyone does it to a certain extent. Every culture takes a step back and says, okay, this is who I am in private. This is who I am in a formal setting. They are not my friends. They do not know me. They are not my family. So I have to present myself in a different way in order to be seen because, again, they are not my family. They are not familiar with me. And we get so caught up in trying to push what we expect is important to us or want other people to feel as though it should be important to them. We become entitled. And I want to take this back, y'all. It's not just Black people. I hold accountability for us in a totally different level because I feel like we are the most vocal about things that are not in our faces. And we don't realize that these things are actually not true. So again, it's not just putting on Black people because y'all, we doing good. We are thriving, we are beautiful, and we are doing what we need to be doing. However, the people that have the mic are not the ones that need to be speaking. Because again, when we think about these narratives, we understand this lifestyle. We love to laugh and entertain the people that are speaking on a lifestyle that we know in private we don't agree with. And that's something else that bothers me when it comes to this topic. Because again, I know just like when you are in a workplace and you hear someone using their Ebonics or you see them in a manner that is not societally accepted, and again, that's not saying that it is not able to be informed in our culture or engulfed in our culture, but it is saying that we know when to switch it off. It is a time and a place for everything. The same way I know every other culture, they have their time and a place. I don't even want to know what people be talking about behind closed doors, but I do know everyone understands time and place. But when we get into that workplace and we see someone that does not, it is embarrassing because not only do we have to deal with that understanding of the person, we have to have those looks too because now they're thinking, oh my gosh, are they the same? We are fueling the stereotypes. We are fueling the narrative by not addressing it. Again, that goes into we getting so comfortable in our spaces and not allowing ourselves to thrive or do different things because we feel like it's ours. Why do I have to change for someone else? Because it's stupid as hell and we've dragged it on for long enough trying to make ourselves comfortable with this habit and make ourselves feel empowered by the things that they told us wasn't right. Maybe we were doing some bad habits. Maybe we were fueling the wrong fire. Maybe we should have put more light under being educated, under taking those new freedoms and things of that nature. But instead, we chose to deflect and put more fire under crazy terms to describe ourselves, just unorthodox ghetto ways of displaying our passions for things. It's a running joke. I don't know if you've watched your latest feed, but it's a running joke. Things that we do that we claim are our culture have been a joke. People laugh, people get entertained, people reshare it, mimic it, not because they find it just empowering and beautiful, no, because it is a joke. So again, I have asked multiple times, but when do we understand that we need to change? People are not going to like it, and that's okay. But at some point, everyone is going to understand that there is a curse with the things that we have taken on as our culture. We actually had a culture prior to us being here, but instead of refueling that, restructuring it, finding our grace back in the fold, we decided to enhance the narratives that were sprinkled in our lives, claimed it as our own, and continue to make it worse as generations and generations come, instead of identifying the issues, adjusting as needed, and finding that power in our skills, the things we are actually good at, things that actually make us beautiful. We have so many issues that we can no longer place on anyone else because it is us. But again, no one's going to want to hear that. No one wants to address it because it is more entertaining and more important to address what everyone else has done and not take accountability in our homes. Again, go back to broken windows effect. In that episode, that is something that we discussed. That is something we've talked about because again, we may have been in a position at one point where our narrative was being written for us, but we know that we have taken back control. We have taken back the understanding, we have taken back the power, and did what needed to be done in order to show that there was another way. And for a period of time, the generation before us, and even before that, they did the work. They adjusted, they did what they needed to do to constantly remind themselves of who they once were, not who they are being told to be. But of course, as the generations have come, we decided, you know what, that's taking too long. Oh no, they're still going to do what they want to do. So, you know what? Let's just play into that narrative. Let's go ahead and play into the belief that we are nothing more than a stereotype. And God forbid, it keeps going. So this episode is exactly that, is to hold accountability in the things that we control and not putting it in someone else's ball field. It is on us to control the narrative. And at some point, this message is going to get through and piss everyone off, but then we are all going to have a realization that we control the curse. And at some point, we are going to be able to stop it. Anyway, that's my thoughts, Curse of Ebonics Shaw. Like I said, it was a solo episode, so I don't have much back and forth for you. But make sure you tune in next week. It's another solo episode, and I might have a special guest for y'all in that coming week, okay? So I definitely appreciate you. Make sure you subscribe, share this video, give me your comments. What are your thoughts? And of course, again, come back next week. All right, y'all. Out.
All right, that was our episode. Thanks so much for listening to Contrary to the Culture. Again, I am your host, Jasa King. You can find full show notes from today's episode at audacityofwomen.com under the podcast tab. Let's connect on Instagram at Just Jasa Podcast. There you will find clips from our various segments and more information about yours truly. If you're loving the podcast, I'd be so honored if you go ahead and hit that subscribe button and leave me a review. Until next time.
Ever need a boost, count on me for the 1-2. Trouble don't last when the tough get going. Baby, all we do is win, so show me my opponent. Adversity, doubt, stress, could care less. Cause how we handle those like an S on our chest. Super proud of how we held it.